Hi, my name is Jared Kautzman. This is my persuasive speech. This is my audience. The title of my speech is Should College Athletes Be Paid? For years, people have argued whether or not big-time college athletes should get paid to play. Some opposed with the argument that their scholarship should be enough pay and that they would no longer be amateurs if they were to accept cash. The fact of the matter is that majority of college athletes are living below the poverty line. This is due in part because of how many hours a day they must put in while being a Division I athlete. For most people, it is more than a full-time job, leaving the athletes little to no time at all for them to get a job. Not only that, the NCAA prohibits scholarship players to have jobs during the season. So if athletes were to get paid, where would you draw the line? Which sports get money and how much? I think you should pay the athletes who play the sports that make the school money. If the football team makes you a couple $1,000,000 a year, then pay the players. But if the tennis team ends the year in red numbers, then quite frankly, they shouldn't get any money. This, however, doesn't mean you can't still give them scholarships. The truth about big Division I schools is that their football and basketball teams make the most money, and in a lot of cases, their revenue keeps the other sports afloat from season to season. Okay, so even if you don't pay the athletes in cash or salaries, why are they unable to sell their memorabilia for money? Or why can't student athletes endorse products? If the NCAA would allow this, some players would at least have some sort of income while still maintaining their amateur status. How do you think Michael Phelps makes a living? From all his endorsements, that's how. And he's still an amateur because he has to be in order to compete in the Olympics. Some instances that have gone on in the past couple years is exactly what is wrong with the NCAA. In 2010, Georgia Bulldog wide receiver A.J. Green was suspended 4 games after he admitted that he had sold a previously worn game jersey for $1,000 to former North Carolina defensive back Chris Hawkins. What is the harm in that? Last year, Terrell Pryor and 4 other Ohio State football players were suspended 5 games for similar actions to Green's. They were suspended because Pryor sold his Big Ten championship ring and other awards in exchange for money and tattoos. So in essence, the NCAA suspended him for selling his own personal property. Something has to change in Division I sports to give the players some compensation for their efforts. Another benefit for paying college athletes is maybe more of them will stay all 4 years instead of rushing off to the NBA or NFL because they have to support their families. Just think how neat it would have been if the likes of Derrick Rose, Kevin Durant, or Chris Bosh would have stayed in college all 4 years. In 2009, Brandon Jennings, who had just graduated high school, decided not to go to college at all. But since the NBA has an age limit to enter the draft and he was under it, Jennings instead took his talents to Europe to play basketball and still got paid for it. After his 1 year over there, he became a first-round draft pick in the NBA, and who knows how he could have affected college basketball. To give you a little taste at the kind of money the media and colleges are dealing with, here are some statistics. The NCAA and CBS struck a deal worth $10.8 billion to let CBS broadcast March Madness games from 2011 to 2024. That is almost $0.8 billion a year for 3 weekends. And how much are the athletes receiving of this money? Absolutely nothing. Or how about the deal that ESPN will give the BCS $500 million to televise their games? Do you think the players would get some of that? Because they don't. So between just these 2 deals with over $11 billion, you can't find any money to pay some college athletes? Alabama's football team has 120 players, and their coach, who is the highest paid in college football, makes over $6 million a year. And with the revenue from the ticket sales, which are worth over $37 million a year. So what is the harm in taking $3 million of that $37 million and give it to the players? Each player would then receive $25,000 a year, and it would solve a lot of these scandals that are going around today.